Hi, Tracy. Hi, Joanna. Welcome, everybody. We're all slowly flowing in. As we start letting people in, one thing I would love to see in the chat is if you share where you're coming from, and then also what's something that you're thankful for heading into Thanksgiving next week. I cannot believe that Thanksgiving is here already.
It's really hard to believe. This past month just flew by. I don't know how we're halfway into November.
I
Yeah,
remember when September 1st rolled around and I said the same thing, and now here we are 2 months later.
exactly. It's going to be 20. We're going to blink and it's going to be 2024 already. So, and I still feel like part of me is in 2020 trying to figure out where the last 4 years went.
Right? Oh my goodness. It all feels like such a blur. I was living in another state 2 years ago, and
Mm.
here we are.
Hey, Tracy. We were
Crazy.
just talking about you.
Joanna says that she's thankful for her kids. Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. I think I'm thankful for people who work in trades. We are finishing up. Hi, Bill.
I'm thankful for this guy right here. He can't hear you guys, but
We're thankful for you, Bill.
I'm thankful that I get to be in Texas this week and visit my family and get to see my nieces, and it's going to be a good week. We flew in last night, so we're here until Sunday night.
Oh, I love that. That's going to be such a
Yeah,
great, like early Thanksgiving for you guys.
exactly. And it's a lot less stressful when you can do it without the holiday. And
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we've got a good crowd here. I don't want to spend too much of your time, Sarah. I know people loved this topic last time, so I'm going to let us just dive right in. If anybody has any questions throughout Sarah's presentation, please throw them in the chat. And when she has a natural break in between what she's talking about, I will ask her your questions. And I'm really excited to share this topic with you all today. So here you go, Sarah. The floor is yours.
thank you, Rory. I mean, talking about what we're thankful for, I'm thankful for the invite to come here and talk about this today. I'm more so thankful that so many of you showed up and are interested and are spending your afternoon with me today. So, first and foremost, thank you for that. My name's Sara Fraser. I am the Vice President of Business Development and Client Services for Haas Performance Consulting. And today, we're going to talk about the XYZs of hiring. So instead of the ABCs, we're going to focus on the XYZs being generations X, Y, and Z. Because realistically, that is the bulk of employees that are looking for jobs right now fall into X, Y, and Z. And they are looking for things a little bit different than what employees 10, 15, 20 years ago were looking for. There's different benefits, different expectations, different experiences that they're looking to get from their jobs. And so, as employers, we need to embrace that change and do a better job of creating job ads that speak to what they're looking for, doing better job of interviews and really getting to know about them and let them know about us. So we're going to talk about a lot of those different things today in the full spectrum of hiring. I do spend a lot of my time currently helping shops find technicians and service advisors. So this is something I've been working on for about the past 2 years, and I've learned a lot from doing a bunch of different interviews and crafting a lot of job ads. And I just am excited to share what I've learned with you guys today. So, first thing I want to do is talk a little bit about who generations X, Y, and Z are. So, Generation X right now would be your ages 43 to 58. They've also been referred to as latchkey kids. So this was a generation that would come home from school, typically to an empty house, didn't have a lot of supervision, and they would do their chores. They would do their homework. They're very independent. This is a generation who, at this point of their life, they're looking for leadership roles. They have a very strong work ethic. They want to work for companies that appreciate that and let them know they appreciate that. So when I talk about Gen X, this is that age group that we're talking about. And then we have Gen Y, which is also millennials. So if I say millennial or Gen Y, same generation, interchangeable. This is the generation I'm a part of. So I do talk about millennials a lot. I have quite a few classes that focus on the millennial generation. Their age is 27 to 42. I'm 38, so I'm a little bit on the elder side of the millennials. We're often called trophy kids. And that comes from growing up in an era where there weren't winners and losers. If you played a sport, you got a ribbon just for participating, whether you won or lost. You got something just for showing up and just for being there. And so we get this trophy kid label. Today, I like to say my gold star is just being thanked by my employer, coming into work saying, "Thank you for being here. Thank you. I appreciate you." That's something my dad goes, "Nobody ever had to thank me for going to work. I just showed up. I showed up and I did the job." When we look at millennials, we want that appreciation, that "thank you for being here. We couldn't do what we do without you." Millennials also get labeled as job hoppers. And I think a lot of that comes from them just not finding their home. And at this point, they are looking for a place that they're going to spend a long time at. They're not looking to be job hoppers, but they just maybe haven't found the job that provides them with everything that they're looking for. This generation is incredibly adaptable and open to change. Growing up, we have had to learn and adapt and change to so many different things. We remember life before the internet. We learned it, we adapted to it, and we're really good at being able to change direction relatively quickly. Millennials are very creative, they're strong communicators, and they are resourceful. And then Generation Z. So this younger generation, right now, they are 11 to 26. This is a generation of kids who want to own their own businesses someday. They are incredibly fluent in technology because they've always had it. That's what they know. And so that's their standard. That's where their expectation starts. They're phenomenal digital communicators. They're very fast-paced problem solvers, and they are continuous learners. They're always learning about things that they're interested in because they've always been able to. They are curious about something, have a question about something. They've always been able to pick up a phone, type something in, and find an answer. So they're always, always learning, and they're looking for jobs that provide them opportunities to continue learning and getting better at what they do. So I want to talk a little bit about writing the job ad and writing job ads that are going to really entice employees to come in and apply. Before we do that, we need to sit down and define what that job actually looks like. So the first thing you need to do is have your job description. So quite simply, just a full description of the position and all of the responsibilities that it entails. And then I want you to think about your company culture and write down some things that come to mind when you think about your company's culture. What defines that? What are the things that make you different than other companies? What are the things that you're providing to your employees that they embrace about your culture? Why do your current employees like to work for you? What are the and ask them, "Hey, what are your favorite things about coming to work here? What do you like?" That's part of your culture. And about your ideal employee. What does that look like? Make a list of all the skills and qualities that if you could craft this perfect A technician that everyone is looking for, what are all the boxes you want them to check? Now, are you going to find that exact ideal employee? Probably not. But here's the thing is we tend to see shops that hire out of desperation. So when you're looking at making somebody an offer, go back to this ideal employee checklist and think, how many boxes are they actually checking? And am I hiring them just to put a body in a bay, or do they actually fit what I'm looking for? And if they aren't fitting quite a few of those ideal employee categories, then they're probably not somebody you should be hiring. But that's something you want to have a list so you know what you're looking for when you go into this process. And then what's your company advantage? Why would somebody want to come to work for you over a competitor? Especially when we're talking about finding really phenomenally talented A technicians, most of those technicians already have a job. They're already working for somebody else. So why is it that this offer is going to be better where they currently are? These aren't typically people who aren't employed or who haven't been employed in a while. They typically have a job. So, we're inviting them to come and apply for this job. What do we offer and why would they want to come here versus where they're already at or a competitor down the road? And you need to know your requirements. So know what your non-negotiables are. whether that's must have a driver's license. A good example is Disney used to not allow men with facial hair. So that was one of their non-negotiables. But whatever your non-negotiables are, make sure you know those because that's something you're going to want in your job ad. And we have a poll here. So I'm going to let Rory take that. Rory, I think you're on mute. I can't hear
There
you.
we go. I figured it out. While I get that poll up, Sarah, there is a question.
Okay.
Oh, no, never mind. It was someone sharing what they're thankful for in the questions.
Okay.
That's totally fine. So this question, this poll is what we would probably like to learn a little bit more about. So feel free to answer in there. Sarah's got a whole bunch of great content. And so far it looks like people are
Yeah.
very interested. Oh, it's a live feed. I don't know if you can see it, Sarah, but it's
I
almost
cannot.
50 split.
Okay.
I'm gonna
I don't
give
know
it
what I just
30
did.
more seconds.
I just
Oh,
see a box that tells me I'm not allowed to vote.
oh. Well, it looks like people are really interested in conducting a great interview.
Great
So
interview. Okay.
we did our
Wonderful.
choose our own
Wonderful.
adventure this time.
And I think the next poll we can go ahead and do right here as well.
Sounds good.
I think that was,
How many years are you putting in the requirement for the job?
yeah, let's do that. If you're requiring X amount of years experience for an employee, I'm very curious what are you requiring in your job ads?
I mean, with the tech shortage these days, I feel like some people will just be happy to train someone, you know? And that's
Right,
also great
right.
to hire anyways, those types of
Yes, and
employees.
if you have the right employee who's eager to learn and wants to learn, 1 to 2 years, okay. Yeah, I don't know why there's not a 1 to 2. If
I
you're
know,
one
right?
to
We're
two years,
talking
then
about
just put it
training
under 2 to 4.
someone. But it looks like 2 to 4 is the majority, 75% of the
Good.
answers lie there.
Okay. Good to know. All right. So we want to learn about how to conduct a great interview. And it looks like most of us aren't asking for a ton of experience. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit here. So else I want you to look at. So we've gone through the job requirements, the what the job entails. Also think about the benefits that we can offer for this position. I'm going to give a ton of examples here. I'm not saying offer every single one of these, but be open to other things that are available that maybe we're not offering that could become part of our competitive advantage. So, a couple examples of those benefits that these younger employees are looking for: professional development, access to training programs, workshops, courses that are going to enhance their skills, advance their careers, attending training, things like this, attending training events, investing into them. That's something that a lot of us are doing, but are we including that in our job ads and letting them know, hey, we provide these experiences to go and do continual education and continual learning? Big for Gen Z. They want that. They want that ability to continue to learn and grow and advance. Another thing that's a little bit more on the Gen Z side of things is generous PTO. They are looking for ample vacation days, holidays, maybe even unlimited PTO, which we're seeing is being offered by some companies. And a lot of employers get kind of scared about this. You know, if we offered unlimited PTO, our employees would never even show up. But statistically, we've seen companies providing unlimited PTO, less PTO is being used than companies that provide X amount a week. So people are not typically taking advantage of that. But what a great benefit to have to know if something came up, if my kid got sick, if this happened, I don't have to worry about that. My company is going to help me out. Financial benefits, retirement plans, financial education, resources, student loan assistance. Hello, millennials. This is something that we are looking for. We are not the most financial savvy generation. A lot of millennials have gone into debt. So, this is something that when a company's offering a benefit that's going to help us with that, that's fantastic. And even looking at Gen Z, who has watched millennials go into debt, they are very financially conscious and they are wanting to save their money and invest their money and not go into debt like millennials did. So helping employees out with financial goals are wonderful benefits to offer. Transportation. Maybe you're in an area where it makes sense to offer something like commuter assistance, public transportation subsidies, or even just incentives for any type of eco-friendly commuting. Sorry, I have my chat box in front of my PowerPoint and I can't see it. And then family friendly. So generous parental leave policies, childcare assistance, any type of family friendly benefits, social impact, having companies that engage in corporate social responsibility, providing opportunities for employees to volunteer for community initiatives. That's really big in millennials and Gen Z. They care about the community. They want to be involved. They want to be able to help. They want opportunities to go out and volunteer and make a difference. Access to mental health resources, counseling services, stress management programs. There's a lot of online resources that you can use to offer benefits like that. Employee perks. And this is something that a lot of us maybe are already doing: employee discounts, partnership programs, a tool allowance, uniforms. This is great stuff to include in that job ad, because your job ad is an advertisement, right? We are trying to get people to come and apply, and we want them interested, and we want to show them all the things that we have to offer. So something like an employee discount or a tool allowance could be something very enticing that they're going, well, my current job's not offering that. Or the person I talked to last week, they don't offer what this company is offering. VTO. So back to that, being able to volunteer, having volunteer time off where the company pays you to go out and do a volunteer service or a community service. And then wellness initiatives could be things like gym memberships, fitness programs, wellness incentives, having healthy snacks in the office, all of those things that are things that X, Y, and Z are kind of interested in and wanting to have more healthy options. So creating the job ad. Now we've got looked at all these benefits that we're willing to offer. We know what the job entails. Take a minute, make sure you have all your need to know information: the days, the hours, the lunch break, the pay range, benefits, location, and then make it easy. We want to make this job ad something that's easy for people to respond to. I like to put a number that they can text directly if they have a question or if they want to set up an interview. I find that texting is the preferred method of communication of most people who are job seeking right now. And it gives us a way to easily stay in communication with them. And this is something where I've talked with a lot of people about hiring. And one of the big hassles about hiring is being ghosted. You set up an interview, they don't show up. How do we avoid that? We stay in communication with them. We make sure that we're providing an open text communication or texting them, okay, what day, setting this appointment. And then the morning of the interview, sending them another text, hey, I'm looking forward to chatting with you today, just making sure that this time still works for you. And that kind of help. If they're not responding to that, then I pretty much know they're not going to show up for this interview and I can move on. But giving them a way to text and communicate with you and stay in communication with them has seemed to help really eliminate that ghosting headache that comes with the hiring process. And then just make your ad clear and easy to understand. Don't overcomplicate it. And include photos: exterior, interior of your shop, staff photos, a map so they know where the location is. These things will definitely help your job ad stand out. So it's time to take all this information. So create an outline, use all this information we just put together, and then define the job. Make it stand out. Show examples of what working there is like to let people know what the culture would be. Highlight the benefits of the job. Highlight those things that are going to set you apart from your competitors, and then remove disqualifiers. So this is where I wanted to know how many years that you're asking for experience. And the reason I ask about that is oftentimes we disqualify really great candidates. If we're putting something on there that says requires 5 years of experience, we could be missing out on a phenomenal employee who only has 4 and doesn't even apply. So if I have a position where I'm not getting a lot of applicants for, or I'm not getting a lot of resumes, I go back and I look at my job ad and I go, okay, what disqualifiers might be in here that I'm not seeing, that an employee might be reading this and go, oh, I'm not qualified for that, even though they could be a really good candidate. And then I change that job ad a little bit. Or maybe I have the opposite happening. I post a job ad and I'm getting a ton of resumes, but they are not qualified for this position. They don't have any experience. Now I need to go back and go, okay, I need to add a couple disqualifiers that are going to hone in on this position so that I'm getting the ideal candidate for this. So this job ad is fluid. This is not something that you write once, you post it out there, and you let it go. It's something that we need to stay on top of and go back and edit and change as we need to. If we find out that, oh, I'm wasting so much time reading all these applications that don't even fit this industry, or I'm not getting anything, then we need to go back and look and adjust and change. And this is something that I'm doing constantly because we just don't know what's going to work until you play with it a little bit and try it. So this is something that should be fluid, and you should be paying attention once you get it posted and going back and changing things up if you're not getting a lot of ads or a lot of resumes. So I want to give you some words that I like to include, and I'm going to give you a list of words for Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. And now I'm not saying write your job ad targeting one of these generations. I'm giving you words to pick from all different three so that you are appealing to Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. So for Gen X, they are looking for words that appeal to them are things like experience. At this point in their career, they have a lot of experience. They want to know that that's going to be acknowledged and appreciated. They're looking for a stable work environment. They're looking for longevity in where they're going. At this point in their lives, they are looking for leadership roles. Work-life balance is pretty important to them. Results-oriented, established, growth, trust, appreciation, work ethic. They have that strong work ethic. They want to know that they're going to work somewhere that is appreciative of that and acknowledges that as well. Mentorship. Maybe there's a possibility for them to mentor somebody in this role because they have a lot of knowledge and experience and respect. Also, I should have mentioned this earlier. If you guys want these slides, I'm more than happy to send them to you. So I know we're going to move through some of this stuff a little quickly, but if you want a copy of the slides, my email will be up at the end. Shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to send it off to you guys.
And we will
So for
also
Gen,
have a recording. I just wanted to say we'll share the
yes.
recording of this as well. So there's plenty. Don't worry if things go too fast. We will send it out as soon as we can.
Perfect. So for Gen Y, words that stand out to millennials are words like innovative, growth, purpose-driven. Millennials want to know that what they do matters, that they're making a difference. Socially conscious, fast-paced, progressive, empowering. They want to know that I'm going to be empowered to do my job. Somebody's not going to step in and do my job for me. I'm going to work somewhere that actually trusts me enough to do what they're hiring me to do. Tech savvy, creative, diversity, inclusion, sustainability. Those are all things that are high on the list for millennials who are looking for jobs that are important to them in the types of companies that they work for. And then you'll find the Gen Z list is pretty similar to the millennial list. A couple things that are different here are safe environment. I've noticed when I'm interviewing people who tend to be on the younger side of things, I always ask people in an interview, in your next job, what are the three most important things that you're looking for from that next job? And in this younger generation, safety tends to be something that comes up a lot. I do a whole class on Gen Z where we really get into why this is and why this generation highly values safety. But when we talk about Gen Z, this is a generation that has a sense of fear unknown to any other generation. And so knowing that they're going to be an environment that's physically safe, that's safe from verbally, harassment, things like that, that they are going to work for an employer who's going to have their back, stand behind them, and that they're going to have a safe environment to work in. They're looking for flexibility, cutting edge, tech savvy. They want to know that, like I said, they've always had technology and they embrace it. They want to use the newest technology, the best things that are out there, and they want the training in the next best thing. Now I'm going to give you a couple of examples to use these words in sentences that you could put in your job ads. Are you an innovative problem solver with a passion for automotive technology? We are seeking a skilled professional to bring fresh ideas and creative solutions to our cutting edge team. So that hits 4 right there of those words that are appealing to those 3 different generations. Join our inclusive automotive team where we embrace diversity and ensure equal opportunities for all employees, creating a workplace that's welcoming, respectful, and enriching. It sounds more like an invitation as well, right? This job ad is an invite to come and work for us and show why you would want to work for this company because we value and respect our employees. Sustainability came up on a couple of those lists. Be part of our environmentally conscious automotive team where we prioritize sustainability and eco-friendly practices to create a greener and more sustainable future for the automotive industry. Now, don't put this in your job ad if it's not something that you're doing, right? It still needs to be authentic. So find the things that fit your company and the things that you're doing that match what the employees are looking for, because this can't just be lip service that we put in an ad and we make it look really great and then they come to interview or come to work for us and they're going, this is bait and switch, this is nothing like what the job ad sounded like. So it still needs to be very authentic and true to your company and your shop. We are a stable and well-established automotive company seeking experienced professionals with a strong leadership skills to join our team and drive our continued success. Whole bunch of words there that definitely are big with Gen X. So that's a great sentence to use that's going to target maybe the more experienced employee who's looking for their next long-term position. Join our automotive family where trust, appreciation, and respect are all at the core of our culture, fostering a collaborative and empowering atmosphere that enables you to thrive and grow in your career. I will tell you the other answer I hear a lot when I ask about those three things they're looking for is growth opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to learn, and to evolve. So being able to let them know that there is room to grow here. We've got this all together. We've written a job ad that shows our culture, that highlights benefits, that sets us apart from our competitors. What do we do with it? We need to cast a very wide net. I always say when I start out, I post it as many places as possible. People ask me all the time, where's the best place to post a job ad? Honestly, it's different for every area. Every area is a little bit different. So I cast a wide net. I still use Craigslist. And is it my number one source of finding people? No, but I have found great technicians on Craigslist. The thing is, I stay on top of this. So if I've got an ad out on ZipRecruiter and I'm paying X amount of dollars per day for that, I don't just let it go for a month if I'm not getting anything from it. If after about a week or two, I'm going, okay, ZipRecruiter is not pulling in a lot of resumes and I've altered the job ad and it's still not working for me, I let it go. I stop using it. If Indeed is getting a lot of resumes, let's focus on Indeed and work more there. So it's really, there is no magic answer here. It's something you've got to play with, but use all of your resources. Have a career tabs on your website where people can go and look at the job ad there, post about it on your social media. If you're in local automotive forums and groups, share that you have this opportunity. But I don't have a magic answer of this is where you need to post it and you're going to get a ton of applicants. It's really something, and there's always new places coming out too that you can try and just see what works for your area, but play with it a little bit and stay on top of it. So we've got our job ad out and now we're starting to get resumes in. You've got to stay on top of this. This has to be timely. As soon as a good resume comes in and somebody you want to talk to, respond quickly. If they apply on a Monday and you don't reach out to them by Friday, there's a good chance they've already accepted an offer somewhere else. So this is something that becomes almost another job for us, that we need to carve out that time every morning to sit down and go through resumes when we have no distractions, when we can take our time reading it, whether that's we come in 20 minutes early and set that time aside just to go through, read resumes, and do it where we can sit down and focus on it. If we have questions about a resume, if something's looking pretty good, but maybe there's a gap in employment, instead of just saying, oh, okay, I'm going to move on to the next one, reach out, ask them questions. You don't have to do an interview just to get a quick answer to something. Reach out to that applicant. And, hey, I have a question on this. They'll let you know. Stay organized with this. Have a yes, a maybe, and a no list. Make notes on why. There's nothing more frustrating than spending time going through resumes and going back through them and being like, I've already read this resume. Why am I wasting my time? So be efficient. Make sure you know why you put them in the yes or the maybe list or the no list, so you know who you're going to reach out to. And then invite your guests and maybes to an interview. So this is something that a lot of you guys wanted to get into, is conducting a solid interview. So we are definitely going to spend some time there. And we have another poll.
Yes, this one is how many interviews do you conduct for candidate, which I think is a really interesting personal choice. I think there's reasons behind each number, but yeah, everybody has a different preference. So far, most people are saying 2 to 3 interviews, which I think is fair. I think it's really hard to get a feel for potential hire after just one interview. But Henry says he's too busy, so he only does one. Which I
I
get. Sometimes
understand,
that's
Henry,
how it goes.
which is why I help a lot of shops out because that's really it is that shop owners are busy and there's a lot going on and you don't necessarily have the time to sit down and do the process and do it thoroughly and do it well. And when I interview somebody in the first interview, I let them know this is going to be the first of two, if not three interviews. So they know that it is a process and that we're really trying to find the right person for that for the job and also make sure that the job is the right job for that candidate. So it looks like a lot. 43% are only doing one interview. So I will highly recommend that you do more than one interview. We do three most of the time. 2 to 3 is good. And I would also recommend that you have two other people doing the interview. So a lot of times, Bill, who you may have just seen walking behind me, will come in and do an interview with me. And I've found that there are certain people who will open up and talk to me a lot more than they will talk to him because they maybe find him a little intimidating. Or there are people that will talk to him more because they think that he has more knowledge of automotive than I do, or they just are more comfortable talking to a man. And so they open up more to him. So if you have somebody else that you trust in your business, get them involved in the interview process as well, because you'll learn a lot more when you have multiple people doing these interviews. And definitely do more than just one because it does give you a chance to get to learn a little bit more about them. And a lot of times we'll even ask the same question on 2 or 3 different interviews and see if we learn even more the second time we ask that question because when you're on an interview, you're on the spot, right? You don't have a lot of time to sit down and think and research your answers. And then after you leave the interview, you're thinking about, oh, they asked me that I should have said this, or oh, I wish I would have told them about this. When you invite them back for another interview, now they have the opportunity to share the things that they went home and thought, oh man, I should have said this, or I wish we would have talked about that. So it gives them a little bit more of an opportunity to tell you more about them. So I always start with a preliminary interview, and I make this very easy. I do it on the phone. I do a very short and sweet 10 to 15-minute phone interview. I make it easy for them to schedule. I send a link to my calendar. They are able to pick a time that works for them. And then I give them a phone call, and we do 10 to 15 minutes. I ask my need to know most important questions first. So, my non negotiables. If having a driver's license is an absolute required thing, it's the first thing I'm going to ask on this interview. Because even though I have it on the job ad as a requirement, you would be surprised how many people will still apply for a job without having the required things. So I don't want to waste my time going through 3 interviews to only find out this person isn't qualified to do the job because they don't meet my non-negotiables. So I always get that need to know important information out of the way first. Inform them of what the job entails. So this is a little bit more towards service advisor interviews because I find we are interviewing a lot of people who come from customer service, who come from property management, who have maybe never worked in an automotive repair shop before. So I really like to explain to them what this job entails, what to expect, what the atmosphere is like, what the culture of the shop is like, and make sure that that's something that they're interested in. And I've actually had somebody apply to a service advisor job, and I'm telling her, reading the job description a little bit and telling her a little bit about the position. And she goes, oh, wow, I'm actually really introverted. I don't think that that's the right job for me. And I thought, okay, well, it's good we know this right away. And I said, thank you for your time. And we moved on. And then I went back and looked at the job ad and thought, did I maybe not include something that would let people know that this is a customer facing position, and I had to rewrite a little bit more there to make sure that we're targeting the people who are interested in that job. But these kind of things will help you avoid wasting a lot of time on doing interviews for people that may not even be interested in that job. And explain the next steps with a timeline. So on this short interview, we're not doing a very in-depth job of learning a ton about them, but we're kind of sussing out, okay, this is somebody who I think would be good. And now I'm going to let them know, okay, we want to bring you back for another interview, or maybe it's something along the lines of, we're doing a lot of preliminary interviews today. On Thursday, we're going to go through and decide who we want to bring back for a second interview. So you should hear from me no later than Friday. Give them that timeline so they know, okay, if I don't hear from you in a couple days, this is why I'm going to hear from you on Friday. And then Ask them if they have any questions. Give them a chance to learn anything that they might be curious about your job. And then always thank them for their time and their interest. I always say, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate getting to know a little bit about you, and I look forward to moving the process along. I hope you have a great rest of your day. You want to be very warm and welcoming, and they want to know this is somebody who does appreciate them and their time. My number one piece of advice for doing an interview is to listen. I worked in a shop for 6 years, and so many times I would watch my boss interview people, and it was like he barely let them talk. He was a used car salesperson, so he was going into sales pitch and telling them all about the job and walking them around the office and introducing them to everyone and showing them everything and talking up the position, which is great. But he wouldn't learn anything about the person he was interviewing. And then he would just hire them and find out a week later that that was a poor hiring decision. So we need to do a much better job of listening when we're interviewing people. And sometimes I'll ask a question and then pause. They'll answer the question. And then I'll still pause a little bit because they will continue talking, and you'll learn a lot more the more we listen. Interviews are also a great time to work on our listening skills. I will say that I have become a much better listener since I've started doing this a couple of years ago. Listening is a skill. It's a skill. So many times we think we know what somebody's going to say, and we've filled in the sentence in our head and we've already moved on to the next thing. This is a great time to work on that skill, take notes, and feel like you're going to be tested on it. Take notes like this is something you're going to be tested on, and repeat answers back to people so they know that you are listening and you understood what they said. Or if you're confused about something they said, ask questions, but take the time to listen. It's a little awkward at first when there's that awkward pause. They will continue to talk. You'll learn something. So definitely take the time to listen when you're on an interview. Questions. I have a couple of questions here that I use on my 10 to 15 minute preliminary interview. I always like to ask, are they familiar with the company and how did they hear about the job? Because I want to know what sources I'm using that are pulling in resumes. I ask them about where they're currently employed, and then why are they looking to leave where they are currently employed? And we learn a lot by asking this because you're going to learn what's important to this employee. If they're looking to leave because they're not making enough money, if they're looking to leave because they don't like their current hours, maybe they're not looking to leave. They just got the invite to apply and it looked like a good opportunity, so they're interested. Asking them, simply, why are you looking to leave this job? You're going to learn a lot about the things that are important to them in their next job. I like to ask a little bit about the background. What got you into automotive in the first place? Are you ASC certified? Tell me about any training or education that you've gone through. And then tell me something about you that's not on your resume. What do you like to do for fun? Any hobbies? Now they are understanding that we care about them beyond just their skill set. We care about who they are as a person, and that our employees matter to us, that they're not just a number coming to work and it's not just about their skill set. I like to ask, are there any vehicles, like any makes and models of vehicles you prefer not to work on? You get to know a little bit about their preferences. What areas would you like more training in? Do you have your own tools? When are you available to start? So this is my basic preliminary 10 to 15 minute interview that I'll do with a technician. Also, how much are you looking to make? That's a good thing we need to know moving forward as well. And then this one is for my preliminary for an advisor. Some of these questions are the same. So are you familiar with the company? All the beginning questions are the same. And then I like to ask, why do you think you would be successful in this position? So when I was talking before about explaining what the job entails and is that something you're interested in, if they say yes, then I say, great, tell me a little bit about why you think you would be successful in that position. I like to give them a scenario and let them tell me how they would respond to it. So that could be an example of a price shopper. It could be an example of a difficult customer, but I want to give them a real life example so that they can let me know how they would respond to it. Sometimes it's a simple, okay, you just got hired, the phone rings, answer the phone. And I'm looking to hear if there's a smile in their voice and if there's an offer to help and all of that. So giving them a chance to show off their customer service skills. Tell me something about you that's not on your resume and what you like to do for fun. So, same thing as a technician interview. I ask about how they handle difficult customers. We're not always dealing with people who are in a great mood. Waking up on a Monday morning and your check engine light is on, you're not super excited to call the automotive repair shop. How do you deal with customers who are coming in difficult right off the bat or who are kind of grumpy? How do you handle that? I ask about any sales experience and training that they've gone through. And then when are they available to start? How much are they looking to make? So these are not super long, in-depth interviews, but it's enough to let me know, okay, this is somebody who I think we should move forward with to interview number 2. The way I do things is my interview number 2 is typically a virtual interview because I'm hiring for shops all over the country and I can't be everywhere. And then their third interview is with that shop in person. So we're just going to talk about what that in-person interview looks like. Make it easy for them. Try to take as much anxiety out of the situation as possible. When we're talking about millennials, Gen Z, they have a lot of anxiety. So being able to let them know where to park when they get there, what door to go into, who they're looking for when they get there, and where to find them, so that when they come in for this interview, we can take as much anxiety off of an already stressful situation for them as possible. Show them around once they get there. So give them a tour of the shop, show them where they would be working, introduce them to any employees that are currently there, and be really welcoming, friendly, and warm. This is not a time to be scary and intimidating, right? This is the time to be authentically who we are, but also very friendly and interested in getting to learn about them. And then interview them somewhere where you are free of distractions so they have your full attention. Nobody wants to feel like they are an inconvenience to you when they're on an interview, because then how am I going to feel when I'm working here? Am I always going to be an inconvenience? Is this a boss that's not going to have any time for me? Make sure that we are giving them our full attention, no distractions, and they don't feel like they are inconveniencing us by coming in for this interview. A couple other interview questions that I like to use for the second and third interviews is finding out what the best job they ever had was. Why? What's the worst job you ever had and why? This is my favorite question to ask on any interview. And that's, if I met your best friend, what would they tell me they like most about you? You will learn so much about somebody when you ask them this question. And a lot of people are a little off guard at first. They're like, oh my gosh, what would my best friend say about me? But then you kind of find a lot of truth about their personality and who they are. Like I said before, the 3 most important things in your next job. Why would your current job not want you to leave? What are they going to miss the most about you when you're no longer there? What's the biggest impact you've made on a current or previous company? If you could change anything about your current job or a past job, what would it be? And they're typically pretty quick to tell you something that they would change. And then I like to ask, well, how would you make that change? How would you go about impacting that change in that job? That's a great question, too. Instead of asking somebody, are you typically punctual or are you late for work often? I ask, the last time you were late for work, why were you late? Because if I ask somebody, are you typically late for work? They're going to tell you no. Nobody's going to tell you, yes, I come in late to work all the time. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. But by asking this, we're going to get a story. We're going to learn a little bit more about them. If I ask this question and they stop and they have to think really hard and they're like, I don't know the last time I was late for work. Well, now I know this is somebody who is typically punctual and comes to work on time. Do we have any questions about the interview process? Because I know that was something high up in the poll that you guys wanted to learn a lot about.
Yeah, feel free to just throw them in the chat. If you have anything at the moment, nothing new has come through, but this is a great time to ask Sara in real time. And I guess the offering a job is always a very unique experience. So this
It is. And that's,
well.
oh, thank you. Something with the offer is, again, it's got to be timely. We can't wait too long after we've interviewed them to provide them with the job offer, because people are moving very quickly in this. And I've even had somebody that I did a preliminary interview with and I loved them. They were fantastic. We scheduled the secondary interview. I was super excited to talk to them again. And they messaged me that morning of that interview and said, hey, I accepted another offer, so I'm going to cancel the interview today. And I was shocked that they didn't even want to see what our offer would be like, if it would be better, if it would be different, if it would, how that would compare. And this is a true story. 2 months later, they reached back out to me and they said, "Hey, I know I canceled that interview. The job I took wasn't what I thought it was going to be. If there's any way that that company's still hiring, I'm interested. Let me know." And I was just like surprised that they didn't even come in for that second interview or to see what our offer would have looked like. And then they ended up not liking where that offer that they had accepted. So it is really surprising to me that people are just taking that first offer that they get. So if we've got somebody that we know is going to be good, we need to move relatively quickly on that. And then we want the offer to be in line with what they're asking for. If we're offering them way lower than what they're asking for, they're probably not going to accept that offer. So we need to make sure that whatever our offer is, it makes sense to what we've learned about them and what they're looking for financially, benefits, whatever we've learned through that interview process that are the most important things to them. And if we can, make it personal, have that offer put together for them, not just a generic offer. So we interviewed somebody, this was probably about a year or so ago, for a service advisor position. Phenomenal person. We did end up hiring her. But through the interview process and through conversations, we learned that she had a little 4-year-old girl. And this little girl was her whole life. She just everything through more conversations, it came up. She told us that she had miscarried 3 times before having this little girl. And so that's why this daughter just meant so much to her, was her whole life. When the company went to put this job offer together for her, they included something that was a a portion that was going to go into a college fund for this little girl every month of employment. Things that we can include in our offer also help in retention. Also, help, those benefits help get people to come work for us, but also are the things that can keep people to stay with us, culture as well, things like that. That offer was like, wow, this company really cares about me and my life and my kid. And that's something that they included in this offer. She's probably not going to go looking for other jobs because who else gave her an offer that was that personal and fit what she was looking for, or maybe something she wasn't even looking for, but was like, wow, what a really cool thing that they are offering me here. So if we can, if we find things that we can do to make that offer more personal for them, that's going to help with getting them to accept the offer and having that retention and just having a great relationship with your employees. Make sure that it's easy to understand and that you've provided a way for them to reach out if they have any questions for you on that offer. And then follow up. If we've extended an offer and we haven't heard back from them, follow up if we don't hear back soon. And maybe at this point they're ghosting us and it's time to move on and continue the process. Did we have any questions come through on the interview side of things?
Not yet. It seems like everybody's found your presentation very thorough, which is amazing. I'm not surprised.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. I always like to ask, ahead of time, what's the most important thing you're looking to get from this? And I want to make sure I hit on it. So if I didn't, let me know so we can make sure we hit that and get it covered.
You're
I
nailing
want
it.
to talk a thank you. I want to talk a little bit about onboarding. So we've gone through this whole process. We've hired a person who could be a great fit for our company. And sometimes we are the ones who fail them and they end up leaving because of something that we did that we didn't even realize. So when we onboard somebody, making sure that they have something to do on that first day, give them clear expectations for that day, have somebody take them out to lunch so they feel welcomed and they feel like this is somewhere that wants me here and people here actually care about me. Give them a go-to person. If you have any questions, if you need help finding something, this is who to go to. They're going to take care of you. They're going to help you out. Somebody that can guide them through their first week or so of work to get them acquainted with things. Let them know simple details, where the coffee maker is, where we keep certain things, things that we do every day that we maybe don't think about, but act like this person is somebody who's never even walked into the shop before, and we need to show them where all the things are and give them the information so that they can do the job we've hired them to do. Include them in team decisions. Even if they're new, they're still part of the team. So include them in things that are happening, introduce them to everyone, make them feel like they're valued and appreciated, and they're just as a part of the team as somebody who's been there for years. This is a way that we can help set that person up for success once they have joined our team. I want to talk a little bit about some things that we can do to retain employees as well. Having opportunities for advancement, career path planning, trainings and certifications, performance-based promotions, leadership development, mentorship programs, continuing education incentives are all things that are going to help employees want to stay. I have a good friend of mine who recently, about a year ago, switched companies. And she wasn't sure. So the company she had been with, she was with for 8 years, and she switched to a new company. And first couple of months, she was like, I don't know that this is if I did the right thing. I think I like it, but I'm not sure. And then this new company sent her to a training event. And her old company had never done that, had never invested that time in training and furthering her career. And she went to this event and she got to network with a lot of people and take a bunch of classes. And she's like, I learned so much and I feel so empowered and I feel so valued. I made the right decision. I know I'm with the right company. So things like that are going to help us retain our current employees. Recognizing and rewarding them, doing team building events, employee appreciation. Like I said, as a millennial, my gold star for the day is simply being told thank you. Something so simple that we can do to help retain employees. Being collaborative and inclusive, open and respectful communication, doing those team meetings, and just staying in touch with what's going on with our employees. So, my husband's company did something recently that I think is phenomenal. And I think every company should be doing this. And they did what was called staying interviews. So instead of just interviewing their employees when they were hired, they are now once a year doing a staying interview, which is not a performance review. It's not about a raise. It's not about the employee's performance. They are interviewing their employees about the job. What do you like about working here? If you could change something, what would you change? If you were to leave for another job, what are the things that would make you consider leaving? And you'll learn what your current employees are looking for. And there's so many times in those situations I wasn't going to say anything, but since you asked, let me tell you. And you're going to be able to maybe get ahead of somebody looking to leave before they just find a new job. One of the things we've heard somebody say, well, I love this job, but if I found the same job closer to home, I'd take it in a heartbeat. Well, you can't change the physical location of your job, but you could maybe offer that commuter benefits or a fuel incentive or something that would, I understand you're making quite a trek to come to work every day and we really appreciate you and want to keep you here. Is there something we can do to help provide maybe a $50 a week gas incentive or something like that that would help alleviate that and make it so they wouldn't leave for a job that was closer? But if we don't ask, we're not going to know. Other things for retaining employees are, just having that positive work culture where people feel appreciated, respected, a safe and clean workplace, competitive compensation, performance-based, where they are being rewarded for the work that they're doing, letting them know that they have job security, being open about the financial health of your company, providing them reassurance, and giving them employee feedback. So now that's maybe more of that performance review type thing, but also feedback is something that should be happening all the time. We should, especially millennials, are going to be the first people to think that they're doing an awful job if nobody tells them they're doing a good job. If you have a millennial employee and they're doing phenomenal, they're doing great work, but you don't tell them, we are like our biggest critics. And we're going, oh my gosh, they're going to fire me. I need to be looking for something else. And here you're going, they're doing a great job, but I just haven't told them that. So those little check-ins, those, hey, you're doing awesome, or how you handled that customer today was really great. I really appreciate that. Giving that constant feedback and staying in the loop with them on how they're doing. Having a healthy, safe work environment. So these things too, to include in your job ad, hey, we have a heated and air conditioned shop. That's something that technicians are looking for. We embrace technology. We have all this new up-to-date equipment. We're using a phenomenal software management system like AutoLeap. We are staying in touch with technology. We use digital communication. We do DVIs. We're providing hybrid and electrical training. This is great content to have in that job ad. These are things to talk about in your interview, to talk about the technology that you're using, the equipment that we have, the processes that we're using that are up to date, attending industry events. And encouraging ownership for your employees to have ownership over projects that they're doing, to be empowered to make decisions, to know that you trust them to do their job, that they can do it, and know that you're going to stand behind them. Let them be impactful in the work that they're doing, and don't step in and do their job for them. So basically, check in, say thank you, empower your staff. For me, empowerment means I always look at it as the three T's, which is trust, train, and thank. That's the easiest way for me to think about empowering somebody is to trust them to do the job. And if we don't trust them to do the job, then we failed somewhere in the hiring process. We need to train them so that they have all the tools and resources to be able to do that job so that they are empowered to do the job. And then we need to thank them and appreciate them for doing that job. Work as a team, ask them how you can help them succeed, and really be more than just a boss, because that is what employees of today are looking for. They are looking for a mentor. My dad likes to call it a camp counselor. When you're a boss, you're no longer just a boss and a leader, you're a camp counselor. You are helping them with things that are maybe not even work related, but they are looking for somebody that they can come to for help, for suggestions, for leadership, for guidance. So be more than a boss and be that person that they are comfortable talking to. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, Rory and Brenda. Thank you for having me. I absolutely love talking about hiring. I mean, I could probably sit here and talk for another 3 hours with you guys about all the different hiring things I've learned in the past couple of years, but I really, really appreciate this opportunity. If you guys do have any questions, please throw them at me. I'd love to answer them. My email is up here, so if you want a copy of the slides, shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to send that to you. I also do have this QR code here, which is a link directly to my calendar. So if you are interested in having me help you hire, or if you have any questions about hiring or just want to chat, you can schedule a meeting with me at that QR code there. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for this amazing topic. It really is so informative. I feel like you could do a 3 hour long class on it just because
For
there's so
sure.
much to cover.
I think she could. I agree
100%.
with that. Thank you, Sarah,
Thank you. Thank you
immensely.
so much. Thank you. It's a tough, everybody is struggling with hiring right now, and it's just really thinking about the whole process and doing it well and taking the time that it requires to do it well, and not just rushing through it and hiring that first application that you get. That's going to cost you more time and more money in the long run to just spend the time and do the work to get the right person the first time.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Sarah. I'm just going to add that I just dropped a feedback survey in the chat. So if anybody wants to fill that out, that would be amazing. We'll share that with Sarah. And if you have any other questions, you can throw them in there as well, and I'll share them with Sarah and get you guys connected. But thank you to our friends at NWACA for partnering with us. Thank you, Brenda. It's been a great afternoon. I hope you all have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.